Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie. I'm a book-loving, notebook-hoarding reader and writer on a mission to change lives one book and one notebook at a time. And this is the Get Literate podcast. On this podcast, we explore the power of leading literate lives. We talk all things books and reading, notebooks and writing, and everything in between to make our lives better. And no matter what better means to you, the pages inside books and notebooks can help us get there. So, each week, we'll mix together books, notebooks, mindful practices, and creativity to cultivate a life we love. Now, grab a notebook and your TBR list, and let's get literate. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Get Literate podcast. I originally started this podcast to give me a space to talk about books and reading. I wanted to share book recommendations and book lists. I wanted to really grow my understanding of bibliotherapy and share that with others. I was hoping for author interviews and just wanted to connect with other readers. But when I look at my most popular episodes, when I really look at the statistics of the podcast, many of my most popular episodes are focused on writing, specifically on notebooking and journaling. Every time I release an episode around these topics, my stats go up. So episodes like number 43, Finding Your Notebook Love Language, number 37, my 2023 notebook stack, or episode 28, a journaling challenge to end 2022 strong. Those kinds of episodes do very well, and I get a lot of feedback about them on social media, in my emails, and in my private messages. So I always get a question too. So I get lots of thanks for sharing the episode, but it always comes down to one question that seems to be asked again and again and again. And here it is. I'm too busy. I'm too overwhelmed. I don't have enough time. How can I start notebooking? Right? It always comes down to that. We're too busy, we're too overwhelmed, and we don't have enough time to actually bring writing into a regular part of our lives. And I get it. I really do. We are busy. We are overwhelmed, and we don't have a lot of time. And that's exactly why we must write. Writing or notebooking or journaling or whatever you want to call it for you, it's essential to our mental health. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about why writing and notebooking and journaling matters to our mental health, and 3 techniques that can literally help your mental health state of mind today. So first, let's talk about why it matters. Because here's the thing, if you know the why behind something, you are better likely to actually do the thing. If you know why you should eat healthy, you're more motivated to do it. If you know why you should get more sleep, then you might be more likely to stop scrolling at night before you go to bed, right? The why matters. So I want to spend a couple of minutes talking about the benefits of writing. And now here's the thing. You need to go old school here. Yes, pen and paper or pencil and paper is a must. Now, that's not to say the research that I'm going to share won't have benefits if you are typing on a keyboard. It will. But the research shows that the connection between pen to paper, the physical act of moving your hand on the paper and connecting with your mind, that's where the magic happens. That's what really matters. So if you want the most bang for your buck and using writing as a tool for your mental health, you have to go old school. Okay, so benefits, here we go. Let's talk about 3 categories of benefits for notebooking and journaling and writing: the physical benefits, the cognitive benefits, and the emotional benefits. We've got all 3 here. And as I talk about them, I want you to think about which category of benefits you need most right now so that that can be your why moving forward. So let's first talk about the physical benefits. Physical benefits of writing are shocking. They were not what I expected, but they do make total sense when you think about it. So first, what are the benefits? Well, some research studies have shown that writing, again, pen to paper, sitting down, writing out your thoughts, writing can actually lower your blood pressure. Writing can give you better sleep. It's been documented in the research, especially if you do your writing at night and you do a particular kind of writing to get all of the junk that's on your mind off of your mind and onto the paper so that you can leave it behind and get some better sleep. Other research studies have shown that writing can actually improve your liver function and your immune function, particularly those who have asthma and rheumatoid arthritis. Seriously, the research has shown this. And here's the best part. You don't have to write 2 hours a day in order to get these physical benefits. No. Most of the research showed that you only had to write 15 to 20 minutes a day, at least 3 to 4 times a month. That's it. We don't have to go big and dedicate an entire morning to writing in order to get these benefits. A fairly consistent and very doable schedule of writing in our notebook can actually show benefits. Now, of course, the more you do it, the more you get. So if you could do 15 to 20 minutes a day, then your benefits are going to skyrocket. But if you just want to start small, those benefits will be there. I mean, we focus so much on cardio and weightlifting and weight training, and who knew? Doing some writing can lower your blood pressure and give you better sleep and improve your liver and immune function, just like those other things can. So it's a great complement to an already healthy lifestyle. Now let's move on to the cognitive benefits. We have lots of research to show that writing keeps our memory sharp. We are practicing that brain to hand to mind to paper connection. And again, if you are writing by hand, then these benefits skyrocket. There's something about writing what we think, writing what we hear, writing what we understand that makes it stick. And so that's where the memory comes in. If we can have that modality to help things stick, then what we write down is actually going to stay in our memory more. And that's going to have domino effects, not just to our memory of what we write down, but to our memory in general. Of course, cognitively, writing helps us retain knowledge. So again, if we're remembering it and it's sticking with us, we're going to retain that knowledge. And the more knowledge you have, the more power you have, right? More power to make changes in your life, more power to understand how the world works, more power to just share things with other people. So it keeps our memory sharp. It helps us retain our knowledge, but even more cognitively, it helps us find and share our own voice. So cognitively, if we feel that we matter, that we're enough, that we have a voice that's worth writing down, all sorts of benefits there. So putting pen to paper and actually writing down whatever it is we want to write down, it keeps our brain strong. And that doesn't mean you have to be a published author. It means you just have to write. You have to write what's on your mind, what's on your heart. That could be functional writing, productive writing, creative writing, whatever it is, it helps you find your voice on the page. Now, moving to the emotional benefits, we've got a lot of those too. Number one, overall, the research shows that it just strengthens our emotional health, particularly if we are journaling and notebooking with that purpose in mind, which is what we're talking about today. I'm going to share 3 techniques that really bring that research to life. Second emotional benefit, it boosts your mood. If you can get all that gobbledygook out of your head and onto the paper, then you have less to think about. You have less to stress about, less to worry about. And if you are doing a particular kind of writing, a gratitude practice that we'll talk about, well, then research shows that just boosts your mood even more. We can use writing to manage anxiety and reduce stress. There's research that shows that we can accomplish both of those things with specific tools and practices and ideas in our notebook, including just a stream of consciousness writing that we'll talk about today too. And finally, research showed that writing and notebooking and journaling helped those with depression cope a little bit better, to deal with it, to see it, to even move through it, all by putting pen to paper. So I want you to think for a minute. I went over the physical benefits, the cognitive benefits, the emotional benefits, and honestly, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm just giving you the big Cliff Notes version of the research that's out there that shows that writing can have an impact on our health. So I want you to think for a minute. Which one do you need right now? Which benefit is calling out to you? Do you need that physical benefit? Do you need something to help you calm yourself down, lower your blood pressure, sleep better at night, improve the functioning of your body and your mind? Do you need those physical benefits? Or are you more on the cognitive track? Do you need something to help you with your memory, to help keep your brain strong, to help you feel like you have a voice on the page? Or are you after these emotional benefits? Better emotional health, stronger mood, manage your anxiety, reduce your stress, cope with depression. Which one do you need? I want you to say out loud right now which one you need, if you are able to, if you're in a location that will allow that, because stating the why is so important. And I'd also love for you to take it a step further and write that why on a sticky note and stick it right on top of your notebook. Stick it right to the inside cover of your notebook. Because if you know your why and you keep your why front and center, you are more likely to engage in practices that will support it. So if we're busy, if we don't have time, if we're too overwhelmed, if we know why we want to do this in the first place, then we will be more apt to go to our notebook. Now, we'll also be more apt to go to it if our notebook is this beautifully perfect notebook that fits our needs. So if you haven't listened to my previous episode about finding your notebook love language and my blog post about choosing the perfect notebook, then you might want to head there as well, because that's another invitation to keep your writing life going strong. But I think knowing your why, particularly which benefit you're after and how you're going to tackle it, is something that is very motivating. So once you have your why, you know what aspect of your physical or mental health that you are chasing. I have 3 particular journaling techniques that are really going to up the ante. So any kind of writing will help you. Any kind of writing will get you those benefits, especially, as I mentioned, if it's pen to paper. But there are 3 techniques that are designed to boost your mental health in particular. And I want to share those 3 things. Number 1 is stream of consciousness writing. This is where you take your notebook, you open up to a fresh page, and you just write. You write without stopping, without correcting, without reading or rereading or any revision of any kind. You just go. You just write, and you don't stop until at least 15 minutes has passed or you've written 3 full pages. And these are not polished pages, right? These are messy. These are fast, scribbly writing. These might have bullets. This is what is on your mind at the moment, and you just want to get it off your mind and on to the page. That's why the stream of consciousness writing works so well. Take what's on your mind and heart and get it off of there. Get it off on the page so that you can get some distance, some space. You can let go of some things. You can process some things. You can get some clarity because you're not dealing with that constant swirl that's going on in your mind. Now, if this is reminding you of Julia Cameron's morning pages, you are right. They sure are. But this stream of consciousness writing is not just reserved for the morning. It can happen anytime. And in fact, many people call these anytime pages, when you just need to write to get a load off. And here's the key. Don't read them. Don't reread them. Don't go back to them. Just get it out and feel lighter. If you go back and reread, especially if you're dumping a lot of heavy emotional things, then you're going to stay in that heavy and emotional space. So dump it and move on. And don't worry if all of your pages are negative. It's better to have negative writing on the page than negative thinking in your mind. So just keep going without evaluation, without judgment. Just write. And you need to get to that 15-minute mark. You need to get to that 3-page mark in order to get deep enough to get insight or to actually feel better. I promise you it's true. I first started morning pages and I didn't do my first 3 pages. I didn't do the 15 minutes. And I would leave feeling better, but not quite complete. Something magical happens once you get more invested. You get to get that clarity, or you get all of it off your mind, or your hand is just so tired that you don't want to write anymore and you feel like you've accomplished something. So this practice works really well on a one-to-one basis. You can come to your notebook whenever you need to get something off of your mind, but it really works if you do it consistently, like a morning page practice or an anytime practice. But bottom line, when you need a boost, when you're stressed, when you can't think, when you're overwhelmed, when you don't know what to do next, just write. Just write about anything. Even if you start with, I don't know what to write about and life sucks right now, and I'm just going to keep writing, right? Just keep writing. I promise you, something happens in that experience where you do feel physically and mentally lighter because it's not on your mind anymore. And then you can feel more objective to possibly do something about what it is you had to get off of your chest. So stream of consciousness writing works great one-to-one, works even better when you're doing it consistently, but will definitely give you the benefits of writing and writing for emotional, cognitive, and yes, physical health. So that's the first one, stream of consciousness writing. Number 2 is so very fancily called the brain dump, right? And this is a common term. We've all heard about the brain dump where you just write things that are on your mind, but this is different. I don't want stream of consciousness writing here where you're just writing to get it all out. We are actually going to create a list. And this is something that I have learned from others, right? To create a list of things that are on your mind. But then I've added some tweaks to it over time that make this more of a powerful notebooking tool. Now, listing is my number 1 notebooking techniques. I love lists. You know, I love epistolary novels and I love listicles, right? I just love lists. I feel like they are productive. I feel like I'm doing something that is going to move me forward. So when I have a lot on my mind, or when you have a lot on your mind, whether it's an overwhelming to-do list, overwhelming stack of things that are bothering you, an overwhelming list of things that are just boggling up your mind, here's what I want you to do. I want you to get a fresh piece of paper and I want you to list everything that's on your mind, all of it. Your to-do list, the things that are bothering you, the things that you're worried about, things that you're stressed about, just list them all and don't stop. Just keep listing them until you can't list anymore. Maybe you have a half a page, maybe you have a full page, maybe you have 2 pages. Just get all of it out, all of the things that are competing for your attention. Now, here's where the magic happens. That can be very cathartic right there. Just listing it all out in the paper and saying, okay, there it is. Now it's written down. Now I can do something about it. But here's what I've added to this technique that has really helped me personally. I want you to go grab a highlighter, preferably your favorite color. There's something about color that there's a lot of research behind that. So I do want you to go get your favorite color highlighter if you have it. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to start at the top of your list, and I want you to highlight all of the listed items that you can control. Highlight the things that you can control. So for example, if you are stressed about what's for dinner, or there's nothing to wear in your closet, or you're worried about an upcoming meeting, those are things you can control, right? But some things you can't control, like someone's mad at you, or the traffic is terrible and is going to cause you time. Although, as we'll talk about, we do end up finding that the things we think we can't control, we can actually control our response to, which means we can control them after all. But that's for another conversation. So I want you to go through your list, highlight in your favorite color the things that you can actually control and the things that you can actually do something about. And then I want you to look at those highlighted items and I want you to pick one. Pick one thing and put a star next to it. One thing that you could take action on that could make you feel a little bit better, even if it is just a little micro moment of feeling better, a micro moment of feeling happier, a micro moment of feeling more productive. I want you to choose one. And I don't want you to stress about which one, right? Don't look at your highlighted list and think, what's the next best thing to do? What's the right thing for me to do? The perfect thing for me to do? There's no such thing. I just want you to choose one. Choose one thing you control and do it. That's it. That is going to move you to feeling better. That is where the research shows, right? If we use writing as a tool to make action in our lives, then we feel better. Our mental health is better. And then what I want you to do after that, I want you to repeat it, right? Maybe there was one quick little micro action you could do. Like if you were worried about what's for dinner, you went online to a popular recipe blog, you found a recipe and you're making it tonight. Or maybe you do what I would do, which is order something and bring it home, right? I want you to then repeat. Maybe if it was a quick one, you do something right then, right away to keep moving. Or maybe you come back to your list and you say, I'm just going to chunk this list up and I'm going to do one thing every day for the things that I can control until I start to feel better. That's a great plan of action too. And here's the thing, it seems so simple. Make a list of what's bothering you. Highlight what you can control, choose one thing, and take a small action. But it is shockingly effective. When you feel stuck, when you feel overwhelmed, when you don't know what to do next, this very simple but powerful technique can give you a life raft. It can just give you one little thing that you can do that's going to move you forward in the right direction. And then that is going to have a snowball effect. And as I mentioned, you start to realize, or at least I start to realize, that the things I didn't think I had control over, I could control how I responded to it. So for example, if I am always stressed about the traffic, there are a couple things I could do. I could leave 5 minutes earlier. I could decide to listen to my favorite book on Audible or Libro FM in order to pass the time. I could practice my breathing skills as I'm stuck in that traffic, and I can change how I respond. I can't control if someone's mad at me, but I can control how much energy I give it and how much time I give to it. And maybe I think about it, and maybe I need to apologize, maybe I don't, and I can choose to let it go. So listing this out, being intentional, what can I control? What can I do something about right now? And that momentum gives you a new perspective to look at the things that you think you can't control as well. It's one of my most powerful notebooking tools that I come back to often. I think I need to get a better name than the brain dump so that it really signals how important this one is. Okay, moving to the third practice. I think you know this one is coming. I think you do. This is gratitude journaling or gratitude notebooking. There is oodles of research out there to show that a gratitude practice can change our life. It can change our mindset. It can give us a better outlook. It can change the way we behave and work and act and think in the world, which then has this beautiful domino effect on all of those around us. But what I love the most about a gratitude practice, specifically a gratitude notebook, is that it can change our thoughts, right? Choosing to focus on what we're grateful for rather only than what we're stressed about. Although I think we need both. We need to get what we're stressed about out so that the gratitude can come in. That kind of practice, a gratitude practice, it changes the way we think. It changes our thoughts. It changes what we focus on. And here's what I've been learning that just blows my mind about the research. What we think produces particular chemicals in our body that make us feel a certain way. So if we are constantly thinking about the bad, then we have all sorts of cortisol running through our body that our thoughts are just fueling and releasing. And that makes us feel sick, both in the mind and in the body. But if we are more apt to think about things that make us happy, that are positive, then we're releasing serotonin and dopamine from our brain instead, which means we are feeling better in our mind and our body. This stuff is fascinating, people. It's fascinating. And at first I thought, I'm sorry, what? What I think releases a chemical reaction in my body? I didn't quite go for it. I didn't quite believe it. So what did I do? I read about it and I researched it and I realized it's actually true. What we think releases certain chemicals in our brain. And if we're always thinking about the bad, then we're going to get bad. If we're always thinking about the good, we're more apt to get good. Our thoughts become things in our body. It becomes how we feel. And so our thoughts are our first line of defense at manifesting what we want in our life. And I know you might think, oh gosh, she's going to go into manifesting. I'm not, but just know our thoughts have a much larger impact on our mind and physical body than I ever thought. And a gratitude journal is one place to start to change the trajectory of how that works in your particular body. Now, how do you do it? Any way you can, right? Get out your notebook when you need to pick me up. Get out your notebook when you're stressed and just start listing all of the things that you're grateful for that make you happy. And just like the other practices, if you do it a one and done, you're going to get a mental boost. But if you do it regularly in a notebook or jotting down something that you're grateful for every day on a calendar, then that's going to get you more bang for your buck. But here's the thing. It needs to be recent and specific. Gratitude journaling does not work as well if you just have these big, grand, lofty ideas you write down every day. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful for a job I love. I'm grateful for a best friend, right? Yeah, we're grateful for those things, but that doesn't produce the kinds of changes in our brain and our chemistry that being recent and specific does. So when you are gratitude journaling, you need to write down what you have been grateful for in the last 24 hours. The last 24 hours, and they need to be specific. So maybe it's that really great cup of coffee you treated yourself to. Maybe it's the stranger who held the door open for you. Maybe it's that you actually had a stress-free family dinner that went well and kids helped pick up the dishes. Or maybe you saw a rainbow on the way home from work, right? We have to be recent. We have to be specific. It matters. It matters in the research and it matters in your mind. So instant mood booster if you do that. And if you keep doing it over time, it becomes a life booster too. So I want you to think for a minute about the 3 different kinds of notebooking I've shared. One is a stream of consciousness writing to get everything off of your mind, off of your heart, and on the page. The second helps you take specifically what's bothering you, what's overwhelming you, and put that on the page and find one little thing you can control that could have a snowball effect. And then number 3, because you've gotten all of that hard stuff out, you have more space to think about the good. And that's where the gratitude journaling comes in. So you might just pick one of these practices that you know you need right now and give it a try. Or you might try all 3 of them. Right? Dump everything out and then list what you can control and then think about what you're grateful for. That would be a very, very powerful punch. But either way, I want you to try something. Think about your why, choose a journaling technique, and just try it. Just see if you can notebook your way to some better mental health. Now, I would love to hear from you. Do you already do these kinds of notebooking activities? Do you do stream of consciousness writing? Do you have morning or anytime pages? Do you do a brain dump? Will you try my twist on it? And do you already have a gratitude practice? I would love for you to tell me. You know where you can find me. I'm Afanita Lit on just about all the social media channels. And you can head to the show notes at alitlife.com and write them there. But I'd also love to know if you have additional notebooking practices that have had a positive impact on your mental health too. Why? Well, I'm hoping that we can all share them, but I want them. I want those new ideas that can spark my own notebooking habit as well. So I'm hoping this gave everybody some food for thought. And I'm hoping as we head into the weekend that you will think about your writing why and what you need next, and which one or two or three of these notebooking ideas you might take with you to give yourself a little bit of a boost. So that's it for now, everyone. Thanks so much for listening and happy writing. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Get Literate podcast. You'll find links to all the books, resources, and ideas mentioned in the show notes and at alitlife.com. And if you want more, you might like to join my Patreon community. There, you'll find additional inspiration for your reading and writing lives, like bonus podcast episodes, book calendars, monthly book clubs, notebooking challenges, live events, giveaways, and much more. It's only $5 a month, and you get instant access to all the previous content too. You can learn more at getliterate.co. But one more thing. If you love what you listened to today, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast, or take a screenshot of the episode and text it to a friend. This helps the podcast grow and builds our bookish and notebookish community too. Thanks so much for listening.